she'll be like, some people live for the power, yeah.
They just threw her out on a bamboo pole, holding on, and she was just like, ah!
And I did punch you in the face in that scene.
She did punch
Do
me in
you
the face.
remember that?
I made contact.
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
looking
Simu,
at me
no,
like,
you don't understand. Stop, I don't want you here. And I'm like, no, I'm here for you, Tony. I got you.
Hi, I'm Devin Kogan from Entertainment Weekly, and this is Around the Table with the cast of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us. Where's the table?
I know, this isn't around the table, it's an around the...
It's an imaginary table.
we can do this.
A table of the mind. Okay.
that's a high table.
All right.
My table's around here.
Son, it's time for you to take your place by my side. You better watch out, 'cause it's my time. That's not going to happen. It's a new era, yes, I come alive.
I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this film. And Destin, I actually wanted to start with you because I know you and I have talked before, and you talked about how you were never somebody who, had really made plans to make a superhero movie. What was it that changed your mind and made you want to tell this story?
When they announced that they were looking for directors, I wasn't expecting my reaction to be, I have to go and talk to them, but that's what it was. I was reminded of the hole that I had as a child that I never, like Simu, we didn't have somebody to a go-to character to dress up like on Halloween. We didn't have a superhero to look up to. So to be able to just get in on that conversation and help shape what maybe to avoid, what to aim for, that was my initial goal of going in to talk to them, and snowballed into this.
And Simu, I love this character of Shang-Chi because he fits so well into this Marvel universe, but he sort of carves out his own, he's very different from some of the heroes that we've seen before. Mm-hmm. For you, what is it that makes him different than heroes that audiences may have met in the past?
Gosh, that's a really great question. I think what makes Shang-Chi or Sean unique is exactly what Destin kind of envisioned for this character, which is one that is not a superhero just by the way that you look at him. I don't know if that makes sense, but some people you look at and you're like, that's a freaking superhero. The way that they walk, the way that they pose when they land, the way that, and Destin knows I tried to get a lot of superhero poses into the movie because even I couldn't shake this idea of like, if I'm a superhero, I should be walking a certain way. But I think what Destin was so brilliant at doing is just bringing all of the motivations of the character into such a grounded and intimate place that when I was on set, I'd just be playing somebody who is going through some really, really terrible, or has gone through some really terrible family trauma. And I think, everybody knows what that feels like to some degree in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's just bringing it to a more human place rather than the superhuman.
And Nora, I know you were one of the first people to join this cast. What was it about this story that really hooked you and made you want to be a part of it?
Well, I think the initial thing that I was told by my team, because, obviously it is, they didn't have a lot of information, is that it's basically this existing character that is like a master of martial arts, pretty much. So I wanted to know that there was more, right? That was the only thing that I heard. And so when I met with Destin, I really expected it to be a short kind of meeting to go through it, and it was a really long meeting. And it was so interesting, like not only the history and the context of this character, but where he wanted to go with it. And the kind of the superhero aspects are found more in this like deeper, darker story between like this dad and his son, and like this journey he goes on that I think speaks to a lot of people that in this country are in the Asian American community, that this feeling of like two places and this negotiation. I thought it was so enriching for what we know as kind of action movies. So yeah.
And Mungo, tell me a little bit about your audition process and how you first got involved in this, and what was it about Xiaoling that you really loved?
Well, actually, I didn't know I was auditioning for a Marvel film. I just saw a audition call in a group chat.
I didn't even know that. Really?
Yeah. So I sent my chat. Yeah. I sent a self-tapes, and I got a call back, and they flew me to do a screen test with Simu and meet up with Destin. When I saw those two names, okay, so I was auditioning for Shang-Chi. So that's the moment that I realized.
Really?
Yes. And I think the screen test went pretty well, because the first time I I met Simu, he really gave me a brother vibe. Yeah. And I was nervous because I thought he would be very serious, you know, the director and everything. But Dustin was so nice to me.
You always tell me that I was in flip-flops. I don't know why you remember that specifically.
Yes,
but I was in flip-flops.
he showed up in the room in his slippers and in your training suit, because at that moment you have already started your training. He has already
He was
training.
in the superhero costume with the flip-flops?
No, training suits.
Oh,
It's
like workout
shorts.
clothes, like
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Probably like sweaty because I'd done 2 hours of
You run on a
stunners,
treadmill with a flip-flops?
I still remember your audition and how you were twirling a pen or a chopstick or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. You like.
Did you put your hair up?
Yeah, I put back to my
Oh, that's so cool.
And then, but she was
That's
like,
awesome.
a lot of the audition. We saw some really great auditions. But the thing that stood out about Munger was the playfulness that she brought to an otherwise pretty stoic character, and so much attitude, and so much just like the way that, I don't know, I still remember all the physical things that you did. That was really cool.
Hey, can we get real for a second? We've been friends for 10 years. I know that you don't like to talk about your life, but a guy with a freaking machete for an arm just chopped our butts in half.
DJ Snake.
Who are you?
And I read that you actually met your husband on this film. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Young Lee, my husband. Yeah, the love of my life.
Young Lee.
Yeah, he is one of the action designers on this film. And actually, we didn't prepare anything for our marriage. The production just threw us a big celebration party, and Aquafina booked a whole venue for us. Yeah, she asked, so how many people you wanted to invite? And we said like 3. She said, okay, well, I booked the whole thing. And Simu took us to a Disneyland trip. He surprised us. He said,
You thought you were going for a hike.
yeah.
Oh.
We were trying to surprise you, and Young knew about it. And it was like so hard to get her out of bed because she was like,
Yeah.
who is waking up at 7:30 in the morning?
He didn't even give me 10 minutes to dry my hair. I was like, why?
And so she comes out of this hiking gear, she got like a little backpack on, and there's like a party bus, and we're like, surprise, you go to Disneyland.
It really was the purest thing to ever happen. Yeah.
And on the karaoke party you hosted,
yeah.
all of us sang on the top of our lungs. I think actually we can make a really good band.
Oh, you're so good. Do you
Munger
remember
is
how
the
good
lead
you are?
singer.
No.
Can't sing, no.
Gee, I was like, who's playing the radio so loud? Because I was like having a drink like over in the corner. I was like, who is playing? Like, and then I turned around and I was like, oh no, that's just live. That's live music. That's
Munger
just
singing
Munger.
Alicia Keys.
Yeah,
just
like, she
bringing
can-
the house down.
You really, yeah.
She really zones in too. Like she'll go right in front of the screen. You know, some people like play to the crowd. She'll go right in front of the screen and she'll be like, some people live for the power, yeah.
We get it. You could do Alicia Keys as well.
I was doing
But no, yeah, I can't do it. I try. No, I can't. But no, you do a great Alicia. And you also. We the Backstreet Boys and all that. Yeah.
Let's just make a band together.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll play bass.
I don't know if yeah.
So I wanted to ask, because karaoke is a part of this movie. If you guys were all going to sing together one song, what would you guys perform?
They'd all be different. What's your go-to?
Yeah, I do like a John Legend or like, I love boy band songs, so I'll do Backstreet Boys.
Whole New World.
A Whole New World is always, that one's always.
We did A Whole New
for
World.
me. Destin would do. Okay, I'll go. Destin would do like Aerosmith. Destin's a
You would do
screecher.
Aerosmith?
He's a screech. I'm putting words in his mouth, but you screech really well in the karaoke.
Oh, good. Yeah.
You do with like one drink or two in you.
Destin was like, I don't know if this is
When I do karaoke, I like to be the person that gives other people who can't sing the
low standard.
Yeah, they're like, oh, if he can do it and sound like that,
good for you.
then maybe
Good.
I'll do it. I'll come do it too. Yeah, I screech it out.
And I wanted to ask specifically about, there's this great scene with all 3 of you where there's this great fight scene on the scaffolding, basically hanging from the side of the building. Tell me a little bit about working on that together and how much training went into that.
I mean, for Nora,
So much. I was, yeah. And like 8 trainers or something like that.
I was so impressed because one of the bigger stunts of the movie was Nora dangling off of that bamboo pole. And I don't really think you had much training except for it strapping you on the pole and saying,
just
hold
dealing
on.
with gravity my whole life, pretty much, and like what that's like to hang on to something.
But she really did it. What you see is her literally, I mean, of course there's safety, yada, yada, but they just threw her out on a bamboo pole holding on, and she's just like,
And I remember I kept showing up to set and I was just like, my pole works really good. And then on the third day, like everyone stopped laughing at that joke. I was like, because then it was like, I'm falling today.
You're still doing the pole work.
But no, I was actually, I forgot about that falling, but it was really impressive because it's high. That was high. You know, like where we were, like it was not on the ground. Yeah.
I just remember the time constraint shooting that action sequence because we more or less did it right after we did our bus sequence, which is another major piece in our film that is heavily featured in the trailers and is really, really awesome. But we spent like a month on the bus, and then it was like we were playing catch up for the other, and then for this one, for whatever reason, we just didn't have as much time shooting it. So I remember for the whole scaffolding scene, it was like learning choreography 2 minutes before I was set to go up and do it. And so it was just like, it was chaotic, but of course like the sequence itself is so chaotic and so in the moment and frenetic. So I think it worked really, really well, and it's so incredible how it all came together.
And I do think that the bamboo sequence played to your gifts a little more, because Simu is very athletic and kind of a natural gymnast.
Yeah.
So I think that sequence in itself played to your gifts really well.
It's time to show the world. No, I'm hellbound, but I'm well now. Who I really am. No one will ever stop.
Oh, hell no, I'm not doing this.
Shang and Xiaoling had this amazing fight scene where it's sort of their reunion. Tell me a little bit about, prepping for that and how you guys pulled off that together.
Wow, we trained so hard. I mean, you can really hear us screaming in the stun stage from a mile away. Yeah.
And Meng like came to, how much boxing experience would you say you had coming in from day one?
None.
None. And like by the time the camera was rolling, she was like throwing like left hook, right hook, like she was like legit moving as a boxer. So it was really like she really put herself into that role. It was really incredible. I hated fighting her. She has the boniest arms ever. Because if you look, I mean, she's quite a stick of a human, and the elbows just every time, because it's a brother sister reunion. She's a little bit mad at the circumstances through which the
that scene was actually it was our rap gift, and I remember I screamed when she came. Like I got on a chair, I unfolded a chair and got on it because it is very epic, and it also is your shirt, you're topless.
Oh yeah. Oh, did you get up and scream for that part?
I think I was just like, I did exactly what I was doing down there. We're just like, and then because you don't expect it to hit like that, it's a really epic introduction, I think.
Thank you.
Very
Thanks for bruising up all my.
Yes. And I did punch you in the face in that scene.
Do you remember
that?
Made contact.
Yeah.
Really?
I must not have felt it. I didn't. I can't recall.
Yeah, he just kept telling me that it's okay if you cannot hurt me. You cannot hurt me. Just.
And it wasn't even rolling.
Okay.
It wasn't even
You can't outrun who you really are.
And I wanted to ask, you guys have such a great cast in this movie, but I specifically wanted to ask a little bit about working with Tony Leung, who's such a legend. What is your most memorable moment from working with him, or memorable day on set with him?
I never thought in a million years he'd say yes to being in this movie. And so on day one, when I found myself behind the monitor watching him do his first take in the movie, I was so scared, but also just so blown away by take one of him doing the first scene, and that's what set the stage for what this movie could be. And after take one, I turned to our producer Jonathan, who was sitting next to me, and I said, I have no idea what to go and tell him. I don't know. Like, we could walk away with that take, and it's way beyond anything I expected for this scene already. What was surprising about Tony was that everything that I'd worked up in my mind for his legend status, he went so far beyond that in reality. He's probably the hardest worker on set. He's the most dedicated to his craft and his character. He also just treats everybody with such respect, no matter if you're the PA or the head of Marvel Studios. He has a humility to him that is really infectious. And the biggest surprise is he's really fun and playful, and he loves to explore scenes. So directing actors like that is it's just so easy, because it's not about right or wrong. It's about exploring a scene until you feel like you don't really have anything else to explore. So let's try this, let's try that, and it was really so fun to work with him.
Yeah, he is such a legend, and I remember, and he's such an introvert.
He's very soft-spoken.
Yeah, he's very and I'm also introvert too. I'm very shy, and we played father and daughter. So I remember one day I wanted to make a conversation with him because I'm such a fan. And one day he came to me, and I remember the conversation was extremely short because we are both very shy introvert. So the conversation was like, Tony Leung, you like surfing? I was like, I can't swim. And he was like, oh, I love surfing.
Tony is surprisingly.
He also like skates. He loves skateboarding.
He loves snowboarding.
He loves the water. He loves water sports. He's
an adrenaline junkie.
He's really. I mean, he's just like legendary. And then on set is so powerful. There's like that dinner table scene where he like bangs on the table, and I'm just like, this is insane that I'm in the presence of an actor like this, because this character too, he's like the perfect kind of embodiment of like this fear, but it's so controlled and really beautiful and like just nice to watch, I guess. Yeah.
I've seen so many viral videos of like Tony Leung's eye acting. Have you seen this? It's just like the man's eyes are just so intense. And obviously playing off of that dynamic in the movie, I was like on the receiving end of his eyes all the time. And I just loved it so much. And there were scenes where like I was like off camera and Tony was like, oh no, like you don't have to be there. Like I can just do it to a dot or whatever. Like I don't need you. Don't distract me. And I was like, no, let me do. And I would literally just be on set. Like the camera would be here. I'd be completely off of it. And I'd just be like looking at him because I just wanted to like, I wanted to exist with him.
Like, this guy needs to go because I just give me a golf ball. I need anything.
No, Simu, you don't understand. Stop. I don't want you here. And I'm like, no, I'm here for you, Tony. I got you.
and then it cuts back to Simu. And Tony's like, get him out of here.
I just really wanted to be there. I just was like, I can't say I like just want to act more with him, you know?
Tony's performance is probably in large part due to Simu.
Why is he so angry at his son?
I love
it. Simu just like
just giving him something to react off of, you know. Maybe if I informed his performance in any sort of way, then I'm happy to take credit for that.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh man, that's funny.
My son, you can't run from your past. Is this what you wanted?
right, so we can wrap up, but thinking for all of you, was there a specific moment on set that we haven't talked about that it just really sticks out in your mind?
You know, there was this moment when it was Ronnie, Simu, and I were before we meet Munger in the Fight Club, and we mentioned this earlier. He says like, it's okay, I could talk ABC, right? I just never seen that kind of Asian American representation in that context against in this place, like with this. It's just, you know, there's been a lot of really great movies that have been released. It's just like representation keeps evolving. It's like moments like that when you realize that these are just small little moments that, yeah, reflect a lot about what we're doing.
There was another moment in the movie where I felt the exact same way. I think it was at Katie's house, and it's you talking with Waipua, and it's like the duality of language, which was constant in my household. Like my parents spoke to me in Mandarin, I spoke back to them in English. It was like a very kind of chaotic bilingual household, and I just loved seeing that.
Yeah.
And on top of, like, you know, the close up on the shoes as we're taking them off, because of course we have to take off the shoes before we enter the house.
One of my favorite moments was watching these two. When we did the karaoke scenes, we had about 30 minutes to shoot 4 different scenes, all
and we were like, no problem.
And we just went in. Bill Pope got on the camera and was just shooting handheld, and we went into our karaoke box, which was lit to just be able to shoot 360. And we just started cycling through songs, and they just played getting drunker and drunker as the night went.
It was bizarre because you had the controller, and you were like, okay, Old Town Road, and Destin was like, and you're like, you can do whatever. There were peanuts on the thing.
It was a fully built karaoke set. It was like fully functional. It was a disco ball.
But just a room. It was just the room,
And that was a really fun rush of 30 minutes that ended with both of them passed out on the couch, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, this has been Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with Shang-Chi. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I'm still waiting for that actual table. There's not.
Is there ever a table?
Sometimes.